Welcome back to Life Worth Living. So, in the intro video, I talked about health, and I said that was one of the most important things. And so, the first video that I want to do is talking about health, and it's obviously very important. If you have all the money in the world and you are bedridden, money's not really worth anything. Obviously, if you have money, right, you get the best doctors, you should be healthier. But for the average person, right, for the average guy, and frankly, average girl out there, right, like what can you do? Well, you want to build a good foundation when you're younger. And so if you're in high school or you're in college, you got to start watching, and not watching what you eat, but thinking about what you eat. And when I think about what you eat, and story time here, there was a book written back in the 80s by Michael Colgan, and it was called Optimum Sports Nutrition. Now, I read that back in, like, I don't know, the early 90s. And when he wrote this book, he wrote it in the 80s, and he was talking about, and this is, whatever this is, 40 years ago almost now. Okay, well, 35, whatever it was, 30 years ago. And he was talking about how the level of nutrition, the actual nutrients that are in the plants that we eat, was lower in the 80s and 70s than it was before, World War II, like in, I don't know, 1920 or 1910, whatever. And he was going through all of the reasons for that in terms of fertilizer and how much crops are getting out of every acre. And look, again, I'll have a link down below for the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter because I'm gonna put all the links and stuff in here. And one of the things that I found very interesting was when you look at crop production per acre, it goes up like this. It continues to increase, right? So per acre, farmers get more yield of crops every year for, like, since, I don't know, 1950 or something. And the funny thing is, it's like a flat line, like all the way as long as they were recording it. It's like a flat line, and then boom, it starts going up. And some of that is just, better land usage, but others is, right, these different fertilizers and things. And so it does make you wonder, right, how much is in your food. And so, look, I'm not going to tell you whether you should eat organic or not, but you should at least think about what you're eating. All right. I'm not going to tell you that I have the best diet in the world. And look, believe me, I made plenty of mistakes with health, and that's why I'm making this video. So I'm trying to help you avoid making some of these mistakes yourself. But generally speaking, right, if it comes out of a package, it's probably not that good for you. Okay, eat real food. Yes, I could do better myself. Not gonna debate that. All right, don't put in the comments like, "Oh, you eat food out of a package." I do. Okay, yes. All right. No, it's not optimum. All right, it's not good. It's not great for me. But bottom line is, I want you to think about your health in a couple different terms. And so I think number one is you want a good foundation. So if you're younger, if you're in your teens, in your 20s, that's a prime time for you to build a really, really good foundation, because the things that you do in your teens and in your 20s, they're going to echo for decades. Okay. And this is where, if I could go back in time, I would have paid much more attention to what I was eating in my 20s and been a little more conscious of it. All right, because in your 20s, your teens and your 20s, you can get away with doing basically whatever you want, right? I mean, you could eat whatever you want, you could drink whatever you want, you you can get away with it. All right, because you can go to the gym, work it, sweat it out. I can't do that anymore. All right, if I drink a lot of alcohol now, mid 40s, like, I'm out for 2 days. Okay, I'm out for 2 days. But right, obviously it affects me more now. And so the fact that I was able to recover a little bit better from it in my 20s, it still is having overall negative effects. And so, look, I'm not going to tell you not to drink, but I am going to say, if I could go back in time, I would certainly have turned the drinking down a lot. All right. And so you want a good, strong foundation of nutrition, and it becomes more and more important, that nutrition, as you get older. But start with a good foundation, right? And develop good habits younger in life, and it'll be easier for you when you get older. All right. And then you want to have a good fitness foundation, right? You want to do something. And so you're going to be building up in your teens, and in your 20s, that's when you're going to go to the gym, and you're going to feel like a monster, and you're like, "Oh, I can lift so much weight. It's awesome. My bench is like 1,000 pounds." And then, I don't know, look, it happened for me somewhere, I don't know, probably late 30s, early 40s, where, yeah, that's just not happening anymore. Okay, it doesn't matter how much pre-workout I take, doesn't help, it's like, it's just not happening. So I'm kind of more in the maintain phase. But if you get into your 40s and you haven't built something up in your 20s, it's gonna be very hard for you to do that. And stop saying, look, there's all sorts of videos of people that are like, oh, I was out of shape and I was never in good shape, and now I'm in good shape because, I was turned my life around at 40. Okay, trust me on this one. Just trust me. It's gonna be easier to maintain fitness if you start with a good foundation and you build on that in your 20s. All right, when you're able to recover. All right, get the protein, right? There's plenty of YouTube channels on how much protein, and you got to do 4 sets of this and then 2 sets of that. It's fine. Okay, look, the bottom line is get in the gym, do exercise. It's not that complicated. Don't overthink it. All right, after you're going to the gym for months, all right, and then you need to say, oh, okay, let me look at like these more advanced programs. I spent so much time looking at different, should I do an upper lower split or a push pull split? Like, just get in the gym, do stuff, and be consistent with it. All right, that's it. It's not that complicated. Don't overthink it. And now, so at least for me, right, I need to have a reason to get in the gym. Some guys, they like to get in the gym, they just want to go in the gym, work out. I like to have a reason. Okay, so now, I'm running like Spartan races. Not that you have to do that, okay? But it's one of the things that I do. I've played rugby. I wrestled in high school, and so I want to break down some things that I think are worth doing depending on your age and your place in life. Okay. Number one, if you're in high school, I highly recommend playing a sport. I think you should play a sport. There's just no reason not to. You may or may not make varsity. I don't know how big your school is. Like, some of these schools have thousands of people, and so not everybody gets on the varsity team. Find something that you're moderately good at and that you like, and play it. Like, you're in high school. Like, it's not that hard. Go be on a team. I don't know what else to tell you. I wrestled. I'm really glad I wrestled. I didn't play football, and that's one of the biggest regrets I have. I'm mid-40s. I always wish I played high school football. So you don't want to be sitting here. You don't want to be sitting here 20 some odd years later saying, I wish I had done this. Play it for a season. If you don't like it, then quit. Be done with it. Okay, who cares? Now you know you don't like it. But have something. I don't care if you're on the golf team. It doesn't matter to me. But something where you're practicing your fitness. If you do have kids and you're happy watching this video, if I had children, I would have them in ballet or gymnastics at a very young age, because the balance that is inherent in gymnastics and in ballet is that's going to help them in every sport essentially for the rest of their life. So plus the flexibility. In college, I would recommend intramural sports or club sports. If you're good enough to be a D1 football player, by all means play D1 football. Let's be honest here, right? If you're good enough to be a D1 football player. You don't need to hear it from me. But if let's say you're not, by all means play intramural sports. Get on a club team. Again, try and find something that you're good at, that you like, and do it, right? I mean, you're going to meet more people. You're going to have more friends. Doesn't matter. After you get out of college, or if you don't go to college, you start working right away. There are so many different sports everywhere that you go, right? There's volleyball leagues, there's softball leagues, there's running clubs. I played club rugby when I was in Detroit. I highly recommend those things. And the thing that's really great about these sports, especially if you take a new job in a new city, right? Especially maybe you graduate college, so you take a new job in a place that you've never lived. You're going to end up with a bunch of friends that you work with. And so the only thing you really have in common with is you have the same employer. You'll vibe with some people, you won't with others. But if you start going to sports stuff or having, let's say you play softball, right? You're immediately going to have softball friends, right? And that's awesome, because now you have softball friends. No matter where you go, you can play softball. And I personally prefer team sports, although now I'm doing some individual, and again, one of the reasons I created this channel was to hold myself accountable. And now that I'm looking at my little list here, I should find a team sport that I can do, whether it Probably not rugby again. That's a little much. But yeah, so that's something that I think is worthwhile. And look, I'm not going to tell you if I don't want you to beat your head against the wall. And if you're not getting something and you know, you want to be a soccer player and you keep doing it and you keep tripping over your feet and that's just not your sport, find something that is, right? It's okay. It's okay. Not everyone's going to be, you know, a soccer player. Not everyone's going to be a football player. That's fine, right? But find something that you like to do and do it. And again, the more active that you stay throughout your life, the better off you're going to be. Look, my mother is in her 70s. She and her friends, they're nuts. They're nuts about it. God. Pickleball, pickleball, pickleball. I can't tell you how many times I've heard about pickleball. And so I played pickleball with my mom. I wanted so badly to hate it, but it was a lot of fun. But the point being, the point is, this video is not about pickleball. The video is about the fact that these people are in their 60s and in their 70s, and some of them are pushing 80, and they're still very active and very healthy. And once you get older, it keeps your mind better if you stay active, right? So I just, you know, health is very important. Start with that good, strong foundation, build on it in your 20s, and then, you know, you want to maintain it. And let's see. Oh, before we go, one thing that I do want to talk about, especially if you're a younger person. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl, but especially for you guys, because I used to be you. All right, listen to me on this. For God's sake, do your mobility and your stretching. Like, trust me on this. You don't want to, because all you want to do is go in there and bench press, right? Oh, I bench press 1,000 pounds. Do your stretching and mobility. All right, again, I'll drop links in the description. All right, sign up for the newsletter so I can put everything in there. Right. I like, you know, there's Supple Leopard. You can read that. There are people that are like, oh, the Supple Leopard isn't good. Whatever. It's better than nothing. Okay. I can't remember the guy that wrote that. I have to look it up. But get your mobility in. Look, there's a reason that athletes today, you know, like in the NFL, are playing for decades longer than athletes in the NFL, you know, 30 years ago. Like, these guys are hitting just as hard, but they're doing more recovery and they're doing more rehab. Now, obviously, yes, I get it. Surgery is better now. I understand that. But you see what I'm saying here, in that keeping yourself healthy and working on your, like some people call it prehab now, where you're doing mobility exercises to keep yourself in, you know, a good state of flexibility before you get injured. So anyway, the point is, by all means, stay fit, play sports. It's a good way to meet people. It's a good friend network to have. I'll get into that in a couple other videos in terms of like meeting people, because I know some of you guys are having trouble. Some of you guys are having trouble out there. Play sports. Just do it, okay? But yeah, get a good foundation, build it, and then it's going to be, trust me on this, be so much easier to maintain later in life than to build. Much easier to maintain. All right? Hit the like button, subscribe below, sign up for the newsletter so you get all the links and all the other information, and we'll see you next time.